You're listening to Power Talk, Berkeley Electric Cooperative's official broadcast about the cooperative, our communities, and ways to use energy wisely. And now, let's join our hosts for today's episode. Good morning and welcome to Power Talk. I'm Micah Ponce, the Communications and Media Specialist here at Berkeley Electric Cooperative. Joined as always by Ms. Libby Rogue, the Director of Marketing and Communications.
Good morning, Micah.
Good morning.
We have a great show for today. And whether you're lucky enough to be a Berkeley Electric member or not, this is information that you can use to keep winter from chilling your finances.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey. And the guy who's going to help us do that is Mr. Josh Lauder, the Energy Specialist here at Berkeley Electric Cooperative. And Josh, you've been on the show. It's been a minute, though. So why don't you give our listeners a quick refresher on your background and what makes you an energy specialist?
Whew. It's a lot of pressure. I've been at the co-op now for about 10 years, and I was in IT before, and I guess the appeal for me was the ability to look at data and shifted over to the Marketing Energy Services team to look at people's power bills and take the chill out of their bill, that you said.
Yeah, and we still make him fix the printer whenever it goes offline.
Yeah. Well, we just try to keep Bert away from the printer. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
The rest of us can, sort of muck about, but he always ends up with extra pieces when he tries to fix it.
No.
So that's happened more than once. So yeah, Bert does not have a career in IT.
Yeah.
No.
So what does an energy specialist do, Josh?
We literally use data, and we try to figure out why somebody has a high power bill and try to help them lower it with all of our recommendations and stuff that members can do on a regular basis. A lot of times it's just paying attention to things, but that's what we're here to do, is point out those things that members can do.
So do you guys have to have some level of certification or training?
We do. We have 3 of us that are BPI certified, which looks at the house as a whole system.
So the Building Performance Institute?
Institute, Yep.
Yeah.
Institute. Yep.
Yep. So you got to know how to do some mathing, how to add a number or two together, which is why I'm not BPI certified, because me and math don't get along.
Yeah.
So.
Well, cooler temperatures are here to stay, maybe for, a few more days, weeks. We'll see.
I'm sure we'll probably have another 80 or 90 degree day before it's all done.
Yeah, it is the low country. It could be 80 or 40 in January. But, as your not-for-profit cooperative, Berkeley Electric is here to help keep winter from freezing your finances. HVAC, or heating and cooling systems, are really the first thing that we think of, because it accounts for up to half your annual costs.
Sure does.
Yeah. So, Josh, what are some common problems that you see people having with their heat in the winter?
I mean, especially when you go from, summer, as we do so quickly sometimes, it's hard to dress our kids right now for school and whatnot. But when these systems are switching from AC to heat, a lot of times they just stop working. And there's a barrage of issues. You could have clogged filters, faulty thermostat, something as simple as a trip breaker. And a lot of folks just don't know what to do. When these things happen, they don't know what to check for. And they don't know why. That's what we're here for, though.
Yeah, there can be a variety of reasons. I just went through some HVAC stuff myself at the house. My drip pan kept filling up with water, and really couldn't figure out what it was, and had a couple of people come out and look at it. But I think in the long run, the drain line was clogged. So that's just one of the simple things that you can do on your own, probably once a year. It wouldn't be even a bad idea just to go out there and hook up the old wet, dry vac and suck all the nastiness out of the line and squirt some water up there just to clean everything out, make sure you get that good flow.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it's something as simple as that. And, if you don't know it and it gets overlooked, then, you've spent a couple $100, and another week or so down the line, you got the guys coming right back out there because the problem's not solved. So, HVAC can be tricky.
Yeah.
And like you said, it can account for a whole lot of money in terms of your energy bill.
Yeah. And for our system as a whole, too, as hot as it is in the low country, you would think that the annual use of energy for the cooperative system wide would be during the summertime because it's so hot and trying to cool off your house. But actually, Berkeley Electric is what we call a winter peaking system that the equipment that we have to heat our homes, usually heat pumps, when it gets really cold for us in the 30s, those heat strips are kicking in to help raise the temperature in your home, and that sucks a lot of electricity. So when you have 100,000 homes all doing that at the same time, that can set a new peak load for us. And we did that a couple of years ago. But, even though we don't get the cold weathers up north, it still costs us a lot to run that heat.
Yeah, a lot of this equipment, it struggles, just by nature of the equipment being down here. So, most of the heat pumps and everything, they're designed to do well in the summertime, but then they struggle, like you said, when we have these temperatures we're not quite used to down here in the low country.
Yeah, and the other part is, too, we've got a lot of humidity down here in the low country, and so, that can cause your system to work overtime if you got a little bit of extra humidity in the house and it's trying to pull all that extra water out. So, there's lots of different reasons why you can be having some HVAC issues, and that's why we recommend that you can have somebody come out, a certified person to come out and look at it, ideally every year. But, try to do it as often as possible, as often as the checkbook can allow. But at the end of the day, it's probably cheaper to come out and have it serviced than paying for all the service calls or having something majorly go wrong.
Well,
100%.
Yeah, and a lot of the providers in our area will actually cut you a deal if you do the fall and spring maintenance. So every 6 months, having somebody come out, they'll give you a lower rate for the 2 visits versus just the 1 visit. And we at my house, we've got to do it every 2 years because we always have the drain line clogging, and so I don't like surprises.
You literally can't stress having somebody look at your system enough, because, and a lot of the work you might not want to do. I don't know about you, but I don't really want to be in a crawl space or in an attic where it's, even colder than your house in the freezing temperatures, or in the summertime, super hot up in there. But they come and do what's called a preventative maintenance, and they clog your drain line and everything. But if you're handy, you can do it yourself and stuff like that. But they'll take care of everything, check the refrigerant, and just make sure your whole system is working properly. And we always say, have them come out before the summer, and, of course, definitely before the winter. Nobody wants to freeze to death.
Well, we've talked about, a few things to, ways to save money on heating your home. And we said that the first step is making sure that your unit's actually running correctly. What are some others that folks need to look out for? Because, it's not just the HVAC. It's not just the unit outside that can go wrong. There's other aspects of the heating system that all sort of work together. So what's some other stuff that folks need to be on the lookout for?
Make sure those folks are checking out your ductwork and stuff like that. I always tell members, if you don't have good airflow in your home, and that's year-round, not just the winter, but if you don't have good airflow, it's almost like having a $100,000 Mercedes with no gas in it. You can have the nicest HVAC system there is, but that stuff has to be working in tandem. So that's why we stress about having people come out. You can inspect things yourself, if you feel like there's air not getting to one room or another, there might be a problem with that specific ductwork there. So there's that. And, a lot of folks use space heaters whenever they're having unit issues. And I stress those to members all the time. They can cost you, if you're running those things 24/7, it's like $136 or something each. So while they work, it's best just to have your main system working properly as opposed to using those things if you can.
Right.
But they do work well in a pinch.
Yeah, and we also need to, like we're talking about, the air, getting into our homes. We need to make sure that we don't have any furniture blocking vents. We need to make sure that, they have like little redirector little pieces of plastic. So, if you have to have that piece of furniture over it, they have the little cowlings that go on and redirect the air so it doesn't get trapped up underneath there. And the other part too is, we want to make sure that once that air, we want to make sure that the unit's working correctly, so it's producing either the heated or the cooled air. We want to make sure the ductwork actually delivers it to the house. And then what's the third spot? The third part of the whole step is making sure that it stays in the house once we get it there.
Oh, absolutely.
Check for leaks around doors, windows.
There's so much
outlets.
Yeah, there's so much stuff you can do to just make sure, because when you're running that heat, you want to keep it inside, obviously. So like you said, look for daylight in your doors. Just feel around windows and everything. That stuff, you want to keep it in there. The more you keep it in there, the less your system has to run, which the cheaper your bill will be.
Right.
Yeah, and double checking that your weather stripping's in good condition. I had somebody tell me once that if weather stripping's been painted, it needs to be replaced because it's not going to function properly. But you can do a lot with some weather stripping, some caulk, and really seal up your house a lot better.
And these are things you don't need a contractor to do. A lot
Low
of
cost.
Yep, DIY stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, air gets in and out of the house in some surprising places. So, I mean, you just want to be making sure, like, especially when anything's coming through the wall. So if you've got plumbing penetration, so like underneath your sink, a lot of times when they run the plumbing up, they might not have sealed it real well, and that goes straight underneath your house. And so all that air can be just transferring back and forth. Yeah. And the other part too, we say, is those outside wall outlets. So the ones that are on the outside of the house, a lot of times you can have air coming up, from underneath the house and getting into that space, and then either leaking in or out through the wall sockets and the light switches. So there's some very easy fixes that, things that you can go around. And like you said, you don't have to be an expert. You can walk up to an outlet and put your hand there when it's cold. And a lot of times you can feel the cold air coming in. You can feel the breeze. And that's the same thing with, like you said, around the doors. Just walk up to your door, hold your hand and sort of move it along the whole seal of the door. And if you find air coming against your hand, that's where you need some weather stripping.
Yeah.
We see fireplaces and stuff like that too.
Oh yeah, fireplaces are
when you're not using it.
Exactly.
Close your damper.
Yeah. Close it up.
So what ideally for energy efficiency, not necessarily comfort, but energy efficiency to save the most, should people set their thermostat?
This is always a hot topic. We say 68 in the wintertime. Now, when we're talking to members and everything, they immediately go, that's too cold in my house. But we love to focus on saving money and keeping your thermostat lower in the wintertime when you're not there, when comfort is not a factor. Because if you're not home, why do you need it at 75 or 77 degrees in your house? That's just, you're basically burning money. Yeah.
So to have the most efficient setting, set it at 68. And if you can stand it a little bit cooler, great. We knock ours back a couple of degrees at night when we're sleeping. We're under blankets. Not a big deal. You don't notice it. And
it's cozier too.
Yeah. And like Josh said, when you're not home, set it back a couple of degrees. Why are you heating an empty house? But just know if 68 is not comfortable to you, each degree higher than that is going to cost you about $10 more per degree per month. So if you want to set it at 70, you're looking at $20 more a month. And that may be money well spent to you, and we all have to make those choices. But some folks, putting a sweatshirt on or a blanket when they're sitting down, 68 is perfectly fine.
I don't know how many times I've told members there's a fine line between saving money and being comfortable.
Yeah.
You just have to figure out where you're at on that scale.
Right.
So,
yeah, and we're just here to help educate people. 68 is what we recommend for energy savings. But you do what you want to do. And
that's where the smart thermostats come in handy, the digital programmable thermostats, that way it'll just, slowly, incrementally, over a couple of hours, raise that temperature up, because that's one of the other things that we don't want to do if we can avoid it. We don't want to sit there and move that thermostat dial back and forth and back and forth, because the more that we do big swings, the harder it has to work. And when we're talking about wintertime, that's much more likely for those electric heat strips, the auxiliary heat, the emergency heat, whatever it's called. It's much more likely for that to kick on when you move it 4 degrees as to a degree here and there.
Yeah.
And once that electric heat cuts on, I mean, your bill's going to go up very quickly. So that's one of the things that we need to keep in consideration. And the other thing about thermostats too, and we hear it a lot, is that, folks will say, okay, well, I've got it set on 68 degrees. I haven't touched it, but my bill keeps going up. I haven't messed with my thermostat. Why is this going on? Well, the part that we need to realize is during winter, the colder it gets, the harder that unit still has to work. If you got it set on 68 and it's 60 degrees outside, it doesn't have to work that hard to maintain that temperature. But when it's down to 38 degrees and you've got it set on 68, it has to work a lot harder and a lot longer. So, yeah, you may not touch that dial, but your unit's still going to be having to work harder just depending on what the weather is outside.
Yeah.
So
It's going to turn on more times, and it's going to run longer, and everything goes back to your unit run time for that day. And that's how much electricity you've used, especially in the wintertime.
Yeah, and if you're on traditional billing to where you're getting your bill at the end of the month, it's hard to remember back, oh, we did have a couple of nights where it got into the 30s or 40s, and that's why my bill's significantly higher than it was the month prior. But, you know, we have a really great website and app, Smart Hub. You can dial in and look at your daily usage and overlay the temperature with it, and you know, really just keep an eye on it. I know when I'm doing laundry on the weekend and I'm running the clothes dryer, I see my usage go up on those days. So it's good to link your behavior and what's going on outside with what's happening in your home and your energy usage.
I literally had a member ask me the other day, it was a proactive high bill. She had a high bill. We called her and said, hey, your bill's high. And it was due to her heat and air system having problems. And she said, how can I have found out this sooner? And I said, going to Smart Hub is fantastic. You can set alerts for if I go over a certain dollar amount, if I go over a certain kilowatt hour amount for a day, a week, and everything. So you can stop these problems and these high bills from happening if you just utilize some of our tools.
Yeah, my daughter just got a new house, and so she's having to go through all this stuff, you know, for the first time herself as, you know, a first-time homeowner. I guess what do we tell her in terms of like, what do you have your thermostat set on in terms of like auto or on or fan, or what's the recommended for that? What do we normally want to have them do?
You definitely want to have your fan on auto.
Right.
And that would be year round.
Okay.
So if you just have the fan running in the summertime set to the on position, then you're just essentially going to get just hot air coming through the house. That also can increase your bill exponentially because it's another thing running all the time. So you always want it on auto. When that heat and air unit is running, whether it be for heating season or cooling season, you just want that fan running when the unit's actually running,
right?
As opposed to when it's turned off.
And the other part is too is that, you know, she went out and bought one of these fancy HEPA filter type things, you know, real expensive things. And I was trying to explain to her that we really don't recommend that. Now, why is that?
They choke the airflow a little bit too much,
right?
And it's kind of a marketing scheme in a way that they're like, oh, it's going to protect you from all these things, and it does in a sense, but it just chokes your airflow so much. But I mean, these heating and air guys are putting in all kinds of stuff nowadays to cleanse the air and whatnot. But no, you're better off with just the cheap filters, but definitely changing them once a month.
Yeah,
you know, and stay true to that.
Right. Yeah. Because once again, I've had those problems too. In the upstairs unit, my daughter buries it behind like 3 mountains of shoes, and so, you know, sometimes it was, you know, hard to get in there. And yeah, if it gets all clogged up, it can cause your unit to freeze up, and freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw. Next thing you know, you got a water leak somewhere in your ceiling, and then you got all kinds of problems. So yeah, definitely make sure that you take the time to change those filters on a regular basis.
Yep. And, you know, and I'm a huge fan. If you've listened to this show before, I'm a huge fan of my smart thermostat, the Ecobee, that I got from the co-op as part of our program. But it reminds me to change the air filter. And I had canceled off the reminder, and just because I hadn't gotten around to it, and completely forgot about it. And when I had my HVAC serviced, my filter hadn't been changed in a couple of months, and so I was embarrassed that my filter was full. And but now we're back on schedule. But I wouldn't remember if I didn't have the thermostat telling me to do it.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like I got company coming over. I've got to change this filter.
Well, if you are just joining us, we have Josh Lauder, Energy Specialist for Berkeley Electric Cooperative, and we are talking about winter energy usage and ways to save on your bill. And even if you're not a Berkeley Electric member, this is all applicable information for you. So Josh, the BEC has a whole team of energy advisors. Because of our business structure, we aren't here to make more profits and sell more energy. We ironically like to help folks use less energy and just the amount they need. And you guys are out there looking out for them all year, not just during the winter. So tell us a little bit of some of the ways that we're here to help our members.
So we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, looking at the hourly data and trying to figure out what's going on. Because, we can see a lot from the hourly and daily data. We can kind of see when a water heater turns on. We can see when your heating and air unit's having to run. We compare the usage plus the temperatures of the day and everything to try to narrow down what's going on. We also, it's kind of a newer tool, but we also use Vigily. That can do bill predictions and everything, and it kind of helps you figure out what exactly is running in your house specifically, so you can make sure and monitor that.
Yeah. So, Josh, you aren't peering into people's homes and looking at their appliances. How are you learning this information about what's going on in their homes?
Well, we also, if we can't find out from the virtual data and everything, we call that a virtual audit. And if we can't do that, then we will absolutely our team will come out and visit, and we'll take a look and do a full-on energy audit.
Which is awesome. But the appliances in our homes, no matter what type of home you live in, follow certain patterns. The air conditioner is going to kick on and use certain levels of power throughout the day. The refrigerator, the water heater, those big appliances have a certain pull and frequency. And that's how Vigily works. Vigily is powered by artificial intelligence. And we don't know anything that's going on in your home. No. It's all based on how appliances use energy, and we're able to make assumptions that, it looks like you've got a water heater leak, or, it looks like your heat strips are kicking on during these low temperatures. But Vigily just takes it up another level, and you can customize the app based on how old your home is, how big your home is, the types of appliances you have, if you've got an EV or a hot tub, anything that might consume energy different than your neighbor. And like Josh was saying, it can help make predictions and help you understand how you're using your energy, because once you understand it, then you can make changes if your bill is higher than you'd like.
Absolutely. Right. Everything has like a spike to it.
Yeah.
Some appliances just bigger than others. The bigger ones, clearly, like you said before, the water heater. Your dryer uses a ton. Your dryer's like a heat strip.
Right.
About the same thing. So, the dryer, we never say you need to pay attention to it unless your dryer's running like 18, 19 hours a day, which that can cost you some money. But the heat strips, can run like that when it's cold. So, we watch for those spikes, and so does Vigily, and we use those tools together, and if we can't figure out what's going on, we'll come see you. Pay you a visit.
So say you need new ductwork or a new HVAC. Do we have a program that could help people with those purchases?
100%. One of the best programs, one of my favorites by far, not just because I'm in the department, I think it's so cool anyways, is the Home Advantage loan. You can get ductwork. We don't do any unit replacement, but we do ductwork, brand new unit, mini splits, whatever's needed to help our members get a new unit, because we don't want them to have high bills. So we would rather get them a low 5% loan up to $20,000 in order for them to get a new unit that is going to be energy efficient. And it's a great program. We do them all the time.
Yeah. So, and the payment is put on your bill each month for you to pay that back. And the idea is that the improvements that you make in your home saves you enough energy to help offset the loan note repayment.
Yep. And we only target ones that, have a repayment within like 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
And so, we focus on those things that are going to make the biggest improvement to your home's energy efficiency and the comfort. But like I said, that are also going to pay for themselves. And, one of the things that we were doing as well is we've been talking about thermostats the whole time. And, we try to make it worth your while to, participate in these load control programs, what we call them, because when we have peak demand, we had mentioned that earlier in the show, that basically means when everybody is using electricity. And as we all know, supply and demand, the more demand there is, the more things cost.
100%.
So when we have those peak times, that's when everybody's using energy, and that's when Berkeley Electric has to go buy more energy when it's the most expensive,
Yeah.
which then affects everybody at the co-op who's paying their electric bill. So what we try to do is we try to lower that peak through a number of different little programs. And like we were talking about the smart thermostats, that's one of the things that we offer an incentive, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We, with every member, we can do your first thermostat. We give you the rebate right up front for $190. You get the first one essentially for free. You'll see it on your bill and everything. But and then after that, it would be $190, for your second thermostat. Some homes may have a third thermostat. Same deal there. And then we're going to give you $50 each year for a thermostat for your first one, then $25 for each additional second one. Just for participating in the program and helping us lower those peaks. So not only are we giving you a deal, which is better than the big box stores and everything would charge you for these EcoBees, but, we're going to give you money each year for helping us out. So, if we all work together, like you were saying, we have to buy less power,
Right.
Yeah, so during those peak usage times, when it's really, really cold or really, really hot, and it's not every day, the co-op, when your device is connected to Wi-Fi, will dial the thermostat back a couple of degrees and help lower that peak. So if we can dial back, 1,000 thermostats and help reduce energy in those 1,000 homes, then it helps everybody. That's just that much less power that we have to buy to run the system.
And right now that's 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. So doesn't really affect me. Come to work pretty early. Kids are at school pretty early, so it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and it's just for a couple of hours to get us through that peak. And a lot of times you won't notice it. Sometimes I do notice it and grumble about it, but I like get my $50 rebate. So.
Well, and the important thing to note there is that if you absolutely positively cannot participate in the load control during that time, you've got something going on, you've got company over, you can opt out. So as long as you participate in the majority of the control events, which I think is around maybe 6 to 8 a month, as long as you can do the most of them, you still qualify for that rebate. And then we also offer rebates for the other big power user in the home, which is your electric water heater. They are extremely efficient, but they have a heating element. And when you have an heating element, like we've talked about all show, those tend to cost a little bit more. And I think it's somewhere around 22% of your bill. Your HVAC somewhere around 50. I think water heating's around 22%. So not as significant, but still can be a big power user. So we also offer a rebate program for that, where you'll let us put a load control switch on, and for those couple of hours where in this peak time, we just shut the water heater off. And the great thing about a storage water heater is that it keeps the water hot, and there's enough water usually for an entire family to last during the few hours that it's actually off. So you really won't even notice it. So that's just another real easy way to get a rebate towards a new water heater that we incentivize as well. And the other thing that we keep talking about too is peak times. And so we offer a number of programs, rebates to help folks move stuff off peak, but we also have rate options as well that sort of incentivize you to try to move that energy usage off the peak. So tell us a little bit about the time of day rate.
So if you shift your usage to those non-peak times, we give you a break on the cost of power during that time. So you're paying a good bit less per kilowatt hour than your traditional bill members. But of course, during that peak time, like the 6 to 9 that we discussed before, you would pay a little more during that time. But we have an awesome tool that any number of us in our department can take a look, and we can run the numbers as long as you have 12 months worth of data. We don't really like to, play the guessing game, so we like to have 12 months worth of data so we can see if it really is beneficial and going to save you money. So
and at the end of the day, it's really not too hard to make some changes. I mean, like we're saying 6 to 9 a.m. right now is when we have the peak times. So if you take a shower at night, so then your water heater reheats water outside of that window. If you would just avoid running, don't do that dryer load of laundry in the morning before you go off to work. Wait till you get home. So there's a few simple ways that you're able to just shift those big peaks. And of course, dial back that thermostat just as
Yeah.
much as you
Yeah.
can, especially during those peak times, and it'll help save on your bill and help keep costs down for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for this edition of Power Talk. Thank you for tuning in. This is the official broadcast of your electric cooperative. You can catch up on past episodes on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. And as always, get a behind-the-scenes look on Berkeley Electric's YouTube channel. So until next time, this is Power Talk, signing off.